Hey there YouTube, it's Nick with Feeding Fitness. Today's video is going to be about the question I get the most often. What should my macros be? How should I set my macros? Before I had like a 4-part video series on how to set up macros for a fat loss diet. It was wordy, it was long. This is going to be simpler and easier. So without further ado, here's how you set up macros for a fat loss diet. Now, since we're trying to lose fat, the key to that is to consume less calories a day than we burn. Now, there are plenty of great equations you can use to find your starting calorie number, but you don't need to. Oftentimes people get caught up in those. It's unnecessary. Your starting calories are going to be a guess no matter what equation you use, so I'm going to give you a very simple way to get a decent starting number. This number will have to get adjusted as you go on, but to get your starting calorie number, I simply want you to choose between 10 and 12 calories per pound you weigh. That's it. If you're female, I would suggest to go more towards the 10. If you have a lot of weight to lose, go towards the 10. If you're morbidly obese, you could even make it 9. If you have a lot of lean mass already, if you're lean, trying to get super lean, go towards the 12, and you may even find that you can get away with 13 depending on how active you are. If you are extremely active, endurance athlete, something like that, you might need to move this number up. But this range here will give a decent starting number for most people. But again, this number can be adjusted based on results. So that's it. Now you know your target calories. This is a calorie goal you're going to try and hit every day. Now what about proteins, carbs, and fats? How do we calculate them? Well, first, I don't believe in hitting each number exactly every day. I think that takes all the flexibility out of flexible dieting. I know all the If It Fits Your Macro people like to have their 3 numbers and try and hit them exactly. I don't like that. It's inflexible, and I think it gets people worried about things that really don't affect their results. So how do I come up with the numbers? Protein and fat have a minimum requirement. The body needs a certain amount of it to function correctly, and the body needs a certain amount of protein to want to hold on to lean mass when you're dieting, so we're not burning our muscle when we're dieting. So how much protein do you actually need? It's probably a lot less than you think, and it's a ton less than what your typical bro bodybuilder will tell you. For the majority of people, 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound you weigh is enough. Now, you could try and figure this number out based on how much lean mass you have, but that's a very hard number to calculate, and anything you have to determine a body fat percentage is probably horribly inaccurate. Those scales at the gym, calipers, they're not very accurate, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going simple, 0.6 to 0.8 grams. Again, we have a bit of a range. If you have a lot of weight to lose, 0.6. If you're already pretty lean or you're pretty muscular, 0.8. And remember, this is a minimum, so you can exceed this number. This is just the minimum you need to hit. Fats, 0.3 to 0.45 grams per pound you weigh. Same thing. If you have a lot of weight to lose, if you're bigger, 0.3. If you're already pretty lean, you can go up to 0.45. Again, a minimum. You can exceed this number. So how do we figure out carbs? You have a protein minimum, you have a fat minimum. What about carbs? Well, you take whatever calories you have left after achieving your minimums, and you can use them for fats, carbs, or protein. If you want to dump your entire excess of calories into carbs, feel free. You can do that. If one day you want more protein, for whatever reason, you can add more protein. You'll end up getting less carbs, but that's fine. You know, if you want to have a meal that's higher in fat, go for it. It's just going to take away from some of your carbs. And this will make more sense when I give you an example. We're going to take a 150-pound female whose goal weight is to be about 120. So she has a decent amount of weight to lose, but it's not huge. So we're going to take middle values on all these things. So how many calories should our 150-pound female eat? Well, we'll go right in between 10 and 12. We'll give her 11. So she's got 1,650 calories. That is her calorie target for the day. What's her protein minimum? Well, She's not super lean, but she's not obese, so we'll go in the middle. We'll go 0.7 grams of protein. She's going to try and get at least 105 grams of protein a day. So her protein minimum will account for 420 of her total calories. Fat, we'll go 0.35. It's going to give her about 52 grams, which is 468 calories. So she's going to lose that much from her total calories, hitting her fat minimum. If we add her protein and fat minimums together in calories, we get 888. That's the total calories she'll use achieving her two minimums. We take her total calories, which were 1650, and subtract it from the calories to hit our minimums, and that leaves 762 surplus calories for whatever you want. If you want to use them all towards carbs, which you can, then you would have 190 carbs. If you absolutely must have three numbers to hit, our example would have 105 protein, 52 fat, and 190 carbs. But what's great about doing it this way and not having a hard carbohydrate target is that if you want to have 120 grams of protein one day, that's fine. You're going to lose 15 carbs. You know, if you want to have 80 grams of fat one day, you're going to lose quite a few carbs, but that's okay. How you respond to carbs is pretty personal. Different people feel better eating a lot of carbs. Some people feel better not having a lot of carbs. And this method lets you control it, and it doesn't have to be the same every day. I really prefer it that way. It's so much more flexible. But if you want a hard number for all three, this method will still work for you. So what are you going to have to change about this as time goes on? The big thing that's going to need to be adjusted is calories. After a couple of weeks, if you aren't losing weight and you are sure you are tracking your calories correctly, see this video for more on that. Decrease your calories by maybe 10%. Where are those calories going to come from? Carbs, because our protein minimums and fat minimums don't change. So that's how you're going to remove excess calories. Right, so calories are really the only part of this you're going to have to adjust as time goes on. You may find if you're super active that this number undershot you and you're losing way too much weight way too quickly. In that case, you can add back in some calories, but usually this will give you a pretty good range. And this is all based on you not eating back exercise calories. Don't eat back what you exercise if you're using this method. That's going to throw you off and you're going to end up eating way too many calories. So I just wanted to throw that out there for some people who like to, you know, eat back all their exercise calories. Don't do that if you're doing it this way. So that's really all I have to say. I hope this was simpler than my other video. It's still, I know, might be somewhat complicated for some of you. Watch it again. I'm going to post all these numbers, these goals here in the description. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, or you can ask on the Facebook page at facebook.com/feedingfitness, and I'll see you guys next time.